Hello, everybody, and good afternoon / good morning to everybody. I hope everybody's having a great Sunday so far. It is Sunday, June 21st. It is a beautiful day outside, and we are going to get into some Bible study today. If you guys haven't already, if you guys would not mind, please going and hitting that thumbs up, whether it be here on Rumble or over on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate you guys going over and liking on all the different platforms, because that just lets them know that we are here, we are studying the Bible together, and that they should push us out to more people. So have a do at it. And also, if you guys are watching, just lurking, which is totally okay. Nothing wrong with a little lurking. I do it from time to time as well. Go ahead and just drop a quick hi in the chat. Something freaking bit me on the back of my neck. I can feel it. Ugh, let me go get the thing. But before we get any further, make sure to just say hi in the chat real quick. Doesn't even have to be too much. Anything like that. But yeah, say hi in the chat and hit that thumbs up. Before we get into Joshua, because we are going to be reading through Joshua 16 through 20 today, which is our second to last little bit of Joshua before we are done with Joshua, which is kind of crazy to think about. We've kind of flew through it, and we've got some more Bible to cover. But anyways, Joshua 16 through 20. Before we get into it, I wanted to thank a few of our sponsors of this show, and the first sponsor is In His Word. I'm so excited to tell you about In His Word, a woman-owned, family-run Christian brand from the Pacific Northwest. 3 sisters and their moms started this business out of their kitchen, creating faith-based apparel and home goods designed to keep us rooted in God's Word. Every design is prayed over, crafted by hand, and made with the mission of helping you carry Scripture into your everyday life. Whether it's a bold reminder or something more subtle that keeps your heart steady, you can shop their collection at inhisword.us and use my code Jackie Espada for $10 off orders over $70. That's inhisword.us. Faith you can wear and carry wherever you go. We love In His Word. Cam loves wearing his hat, and we just greatly appreciate them. So make sure to shop and support their small business, and also support me in the process by using my code Jackie Espada. Hello, everybody in the chat. I see you guys coming in here. Eleanor, Jennifer. Hello, Mom. Hope you're doing well. The next sponsor of this show is, of course, our morning cup of coffee. And we love them. We appreciate them. This, of course, is Loaded Gun. This episode is fueled by Loaded Gun Coffee. Veteran-owned, small batch roasted, and bold enough to actually taste as strong as it smells. They're all about quality over gimmicks, and every bag is roasted to order, so it's fresh when it hits your doorstep. You can grab your favorite roast at loadedguncoffee.com and use code Jackie Espada for 10% off your order. Support small business, drink bold, and start your day the clean way with Loaded Gun Coffee. Again, we love Loaded Gun Coffee around these parts, and we appreciate them. So thank you for shopping the sponsors. Hi to everybody in the chat. Amber, welcome. Glad you guys are here. Now let's get into it, guys. We are going to jump into Joshua, chapters 16 through 20. And last time we read through 11 through 15. And, you know, if that felt like a gear shift from battle to bureaucracy, Joshua 16 through 20 goes deeper into the distribution phase, but with some of the most theological rich material in the whole book, because it is hidden inside the land lists. You know, if you know where we're going in the Bible, then you know that these cities that we're going to be talking about that are being distributed in the lists today, those are important for long-term, I guess not success, but I guess, yeah, success for, or stories that are going to be happening down the line. So chapters 16 through 20, the thread that runs through all of them is that a gift given is not a gift possessed. You know, God distributed the land. Tribes still had to go take it, clear it, settle it, and drive out whatever was remaining. The gap between given and fully possessed is where most of where Israel got stuck. And it's a gap that runs through the rest of the Old Testament. And like I said, all of these cities that we'll see have some type of connection to the cities that are being distributed today. So, chapter 18, before we start reading though, even quotes Joshua calling Israel out for sitting on the gift without moving. So, that's the framework that we're going to be getting to through today. I hope that you enjoy this with this reading. Hope you guys enjoy. Of course, if you guys have any questions about anything as we go through this, feel free to drop them in the chat if you have any comments or anything like that. That's what we're doing. We're doing this together. We're doing this as a community because we, together we learn more. And so that is what we've got going on right now. Of course, I'm reading from the She Reads Truth Bible, Christian Standard Bible, and before I actually start reading, I wanted to let you guys know and thank you guys for continuing to use my Amazon link, because anytime that you click on it and you go to it, I get credit for it. And of course, if you didn't know, I'm actually in, I'm pulling it up right now because I'm interested to see where the promotions thing is. Creator rewards, is that it? No. Oh wait, yeah. Okay. So, for the month of June, if I get $670 worth of shipped revenue, I get an additional bonus. And right now, my total for the month is $475.81. So I am so close. Over the next few days, you guys got a few days before you go and purchase anything on Amazon. If you would be so kind as to just click on my link, remember me before you do it. Click on the link, and then anything that you purchase, I get the credit for. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm hoping that I'm actually able to reach this $670. And of course, with Prime Days coming up this next weekend, hopefully you guys actually enjoy Prime Days and actually shop and use the links and stuff, because like I said, that does help me out in the long run. So appreciate you guys. Link, Claire Cat, she said that the link works great. I'm glad. Yes, I appreciate you, because I know that you and Salbish have become the two biggest ones that have been contributing to the Amazon cause. So I appreciate it. That really does help a bunch. And then Jennifer Ray, she says, I'm making another order because my dumb dog chewed up his tag. Well, that we love the dog, but sometimes the dogs will do what they do. The link is in the description of every one of my shows. So in fact, let me pull up the screen so that you guys can see exactly where it is. Here we go. This is a video of me. This is the current show. And if you guys haven't already, hit the thumbs up. But this one right here, so that you can find all my Bible study essentials here, click on that link right there, and that link will go ahead and make sure that you, whatever sale you make, you don't even have to purchase anything through the actual, anything that's on my storefront. You don't have to purchase anything. Just click on the link and purchase anything that you're going to naturally just do, and I will automatically get the credit for the sale. I don't necessarily know how it works or anything like that, but I'm just glad that it works, and it definitely helps a long way, because I'm slowly but surely collecting pennies from Amazon thanks to you guys. So it's a little bit goes a long way, and yeah. See, Claire, she let me go back to this. So Claire is saying, let me remove this one. She said, I just bookmarked it and click on it every time before I order anything. See, that's perfect. I appreciate that. Yeah. So it's simple, easy way for you to do that. And it yeah, like I said, a little bit goes a long way. So appreciate you guys. Last thing before we start reading, I wanted to thank Marguerite Carlin. Last Thursday, before, like, right as the show was ending, she sent in a Venmo, and I didn't read it. So she's sent in a Venmo for $10. She said, "Thank you for your time doing Bible study." So thank you so much, Marguerite, for tuning in and being here and supporting me here. So really, truly appreciate that. Okay, now that we've got all of the business out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into today's reading. It's going to be a shorter one, I feel like, today, because like chapter 16 only has 10 verses. So it's going to be pretty short today. We'll only probably go like an hour and a half, so that we can just go about our day. And I still have to prepare for tonight's good book sessions. So got some more work to do. Plus I got to pack, and yeah, just a lot going on over here. But let's get into it. Chapter 16, Joseph's inheritance. Oh, I forgot my so this is where I keep all my notes, and it turned off. It's my Kindle. So okay. There we go. All right. Chapter 16. Joseph's inheritance. The allotment for the descendants of Joseph went from the Jordan at Jericho to the waters of Jericho on the east, through the wilderness, ascending from Jericho into the hill country of Bethel. From Bethel it went to Luz and proceeded to the border of the Archites by Ataroth. It then descended westward to the border of the Japhletites, border of the Japhletites as far as the border of lower Beth Horon, then Gezer, then ended at the Mediterranean Sea. So Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Joseph, received their inheritance. So the opening verses here give the outer boundary for the combined territory of Joseph's two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, before each tribe's specific portion is detailed out. The allotment runs from the Jordan at Jericho westward through the wilderness and hill country of Bethel, then to Luz, and then down to Gezer and the Mediterranean Sea. This is the central spine of Canaan, so the hill country that runs north and south through the middle of the land. This was given to Joseph's descendants because of Joseph's place in the family. If you guys remember, the right at the end of Genesis, Genesis 48:5 specifically, Jacob, he adopted both Ephraim and Manasseh as his own sons, therefore giving Joseph two allotments instead of one. Remember, he was getting that double portion. Yeah, that's exactly what was happening here. But verse 4 here is significant. Verse 4, so Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Joseph, received their inheritance. This verse here functions as a heading for the two chapters that follow. It acknowledges the Genesis backstory without spelling it all out. And then, we as the reader expect to remember that Joseph's elevation came out. Okay, something just fell. Came at enormous personal cost. And then the double portion is the long-delayed fulfillment of Jacob's adoption. So that is what we see here. And I love that this is setting the tone for, like I said, the next few chapters. So let's go ahead and continue on. First up, we're going to see what Ephraim's inheritance is. So let's go ahead and read through this. This was the boundary of the descendants of Ephraim by their clans. The border of their inheritance went from Ataroth Adar on the east to Upper Beth Horon. In the north, the border went westward from Mikmethath. It went eastward from Taanath Shiloh and passed it east of Genoa. From Genoa, it descended to Ataroth and Nearah, and they reached Jericho and went to the Jordan. From Tapua, the border went westward along the brook of Cana and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the descendants of Ephraim by their clans, together with the cities set apart for the descendants of Ephraim within the inheritance of the descendants of Manasseh, all these cities with their settlements. However, they did not drive out the Canaanites who lived in Gezer. So the Canaanites still live, in Ephraim today, but they are forced laborers. So Ephraim's territory is carved out of the southern portion of Joseph's allotment. The border runs, if you guys want the specific border, and in fact, the reason why I do love this this Bible specifically, and let me put something in here so I don't lose my spot. This Bible specifically, though, it has the actual borders. So as we're actually reading through this, you can see like all of the borders for the different nations or the different tribes. So you see how right here, this is Manasseh. We have East Manasseh, we've got West Manasseh, but it goes right through the middle. So that is cool. And then we have Ephraim right here. You see Ephraim, West Manasseh, right there next to each other. So it's kind of nice to be able to have that visual there for you guys if you want. If you're like a visual learner like me, you can kind of see it. So that's nice. And maybe what I could do is, let me see if I can get a like, what is this? Like a picture of this. So tribes of Israel map. There's some good ones. Just so that we can have like the visual of this is what they look like. This is where they are. This is where they're living. Nope, not that one. Let me get open image. Ooh, that's not a good image. I need a bigger one. So size large. Let's see. Is this one good? Oh, yeah, that's good. All right, so here we go. This is, maybe I should get a different one. Let's see if this one is better. No, that one, no, that is way worse. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This one seems pretty all right, and what I can do here is just, there we go. Yeah. You guys, can you see this? Is this all right? The only thing is that there's this big side thing, and I don't really like that. So I'm going to keep looking, just in case. Oh, perfect. That one's good. Okay. We'll stick with this one for now. All right, so we just described Ephraim's land. So Ephraim, this one right here, this is the land that we just described. This is Mediterranean Sea. You guys, how do we feel about this? Yay? Nay? Do we like to see the map? Not like to see the map? I should have done this last week or on Thursday, but I didn't. I didn't think of it. It was late. But that's all right. So here we go. Let's go ahead and kind of dissect this. So the cities, so pause. Verse 9, this is a detail that is worth noting in chapter 16. It says that the cities set apart for the descendants of Ephraim were within the inheritance of the descendants of Manasseh. All these cities with their settlements. Ephraim has cities scattered within Manasseh's territory. The tribal boundaries are not perfectly clean. They kind of overlap each other and interweave and share. And this is the complexity of turning a promised land into a lived one. So this is just part of God's plan. He's kind of doing it. I almost feel like he's doing it to kind of test the people too. See if they can actually cohabitate without killing each other and, doing all this craziness. So I think it's like a test for God from God, but also like kind of like a lesson thing. So yeah. All right. Let's keep going. Verse 10 of chapter 16. It says, however, they did not drive out the Canaanites who lived in Gezer. So the Canaanites still live in Ephraim today, but they are forced laborers. So it's interesting here to note that the chapter 16, ends with the verse that sets the pattern for what follows. Gezer was one of the most strategically important cities in Canaan. Why? Because it controlled the road from the coast into the Judean foothills. It appeared in Joshua 10:33, where its king came to help Lachish and was destroyed. The city itself was never taken. So Ephraim couldn't take it, or, he didn't. And the Canaanites remained there. And they were made into forced laborers rather than being driven out. The pattern that I want you guys to recognize as we kind of go through the next few chapters, especially when it brings up the Canaanites. What God does differently here is that he allowed them to be, not allowed them, but they were made into forced laborers. The instruction was to drive out the Canaanites entirely. We saw this last book in Deuteronomy. Making them into forced laborers was a pragmatic compromise. It's economically useful, absolutely, but it's spiritually dangerous. This unfinished business, God asked you to do a certain thing and you weren't completely obedient. This unfinished business of Joshua is going to resurface in the Solomon narrative. So keep that in the back of your mind. And of course, let's recognize this pattern of having the different, when they say, they became forced laborers, they're probably going to be linking that to a future event. So let's keep an eye on that and keep that close in mind. All right, chapter 17. Chapter 17 now. We are going to be getting into West Manasseh's inheritance. Plus, we're going to be getting into daughters who fight for their rights and sons who ultimately complain. So this one's going to be a fun chapter. This is a good one. So hold on. I'm going to take a drink of water so that I don't dry myself out over here. All right. So, chapter 17. All right. This was the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn. Gilead and Bashan were given to Machir, the firstborn of Manasseh and the father of Gilead, because he was a man of war. So the allotment was for the rest of Manasseh's descendants by their clans, for the sons of Abiezer, Abiezer, Helek, Azriel, Shechem, Hepher, and Shemitah. These are the male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, by their clans. So we're introducing a few new characters. They're not going to be super important just yet, but Manasseh was Joseph's firstborn. His territory, as we can see here, is the northern territory, right? We had Ephraim, which is the southern territory. Now we're in Manasseh's territory. And this includes Bashan and Gilead on the east side of the Jordan. And we, already given in chapters 13 to Machir, we saw that. Now we're going to be distributing the western territories. And the 6 clans being listed, which are Abiezer, Helek, Azriel, Shechem, Hepher, and Shemitah, become the named subgroups that receive portions of Manasseh's West Jordan allotment. Abiezer is worth flagging, in my opinion. The clan of Abiezer, or Abiezer, I don't know, is where Gideon comes from, which we'll see here in the next book of the Bible, in Judges. Gideon's famous story of the fleece, the reduced army, the torches, and the jars all happen in Manasseh's territory. The land being distributed here is the landscape of Judges. So when we jump into Judges next, just keep that in mind that we're going to be talking about Manasseh's land. So let's keep going. Verse 3. Now Zelophehad, son of Hepher, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, had no sons, only daughters. These are the names of their daughters: Mala, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They came before the priest Eleazar, Joshua, son of Nun, and the leaders, saying, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our male relatives." So they gave them an inheritance among the father's brothers in keeping with the Lord's instruction. As a result, 10 tracts fell to Manasseh, besides the land of Gilead and Bashan, which are beyond the Jordan, because Manasseh's daughters received an inheritance among his sons. The land of Gilead belonged to the rest of Manasseh's sons. So this is I love this, if I'm being honest. This story is really awesome. So Zelophehad had no sons, only 5 daughters. They come before the priest and Joshua and all the leaders, and they command Moses, or the Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our relatives. So remember, what they're doing here is they are citing Numbers 27, 1 through 11. For those that don't remember, this was a legal precedent that they themselves had established. So back in Numbers, there were these same 5 daughters, the ones that I just named before. These same 5 daughters approached Moses and argued that their father's name and land should not disappear because he had no sons. Moses brought this case before God, and God ruled in their favor and established a legal principle that if a man dies with no sons, his inheritance then would pass to his daughters. So now that they're in the promised land, the precedent exists and they invoke it. And guess what? It works. And it literally says it straight up right here. It says, "So they gave them an inheritance among their father's brothers in keeping with the Lord's instruction." So these women knew the law. They cited the scripture accurately. They brought their case to the right authorities. They didn't wait to be noticed. And they went step forward and claimed exactly what was legally theirs. And nobody pushed back, because nobody told them to be quiet or anything like that. The legal system that Moses built worked. It worked for women. It worked in the middle of a patriarchal, ancient Near Eastern society, because Moses had enshrined the principle and God had endorsed it. So it was set in stone. They had no type of way to just kind of budge from what was the truth. So I love it. Good for them. They did exactly what they needed to do, and they got the job done. All right, let's keep going. Verse 7. Let's see what it says. The border of Manasseh went from Asher to Mikmethath near Shechem. It then went southward toward the inhabitants of Tappuah. The region of Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, but Tappuah itself on Manasseh's border belonged to the descendants of Ephraim. From there, the border descended to the brook of Cana, south of the brook. Cities belonged to Ephraim among Manasseh's cities. Manasseh's border was on the north side of the brook and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. Ephraim's territory was to the south and Manasseh's to the north, with the sea at its border. They reached Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh had Beth Shean, Ibleam, and the inhabitants of Dor with their surrounding villages, the inhabitants of Endor, Taanach, and Megiddo, the 3 cities of Nephath, with their surrounding villages. The descendants of Manasseh could not possess these cities because the Canaanites were determined to stay in this land. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they imposed forced labor on the Canaanites but did not drive them out completely. So again, interesting to note there. But we've got the western border literally telling us exactly how we're going down. This is, again, Manasseh's border here. But giving us the specifics, and again, we're naming off specific cities because there's specific names. There's these cities have significance as we keep going through the Old Testament. We have Beth Shean was, that's going to be a significant city for Saul. Same thing with Endor. Saul is going to be important there. Megiddo, all these different places, we're going to see them in Judges and 1 Samuel, and these are the coming books. So we're setting a lot of people don't think this part of Joshua is super important, but what it's doing now is it's setting the scene. It's letting people know, hey, this is your gift. This is your allotment. You have a specific part of your land, but not only am I giving this to you as a gift, but it's also setting the scene for future events that are going to be happening throughout the book. So I love that we're laying the foundation this way. Again, this may be cut and dry for a lot of people, and it may be boring and not interesting, but it really is important for the long run because it is setting the scene for the future of Israel. So that is what we've got going on there. And then, of course, ending chapter 17, this part of chapter 17, with the pattern continuing. Talking about the descendants of Manasseh not possessing the land. The Canaanites were there. They were determined to stay there, and they couldn't drive them out. So 2 things to note here. First thing is that the phrasing shifts slightly from Ephraim's case. So with Ephraim in 16:10, it says that they didn't drive them out. With Manasseh, the text says the Canaanites were determined to stay, implying that there was an active resistance by the Canaanites. But the result here is still the same. There's still going to be forced laborers instead of the commanded renewal from God. The second thing to note is that when the Israelites grew stronger, they waited until they felt strong enough. The second thing is that when it makes note to say when the Israelites grew stronger, meaning that they waited until they felt strong enough and then stopped short of the complete obedience and settled for economic extraction instead. So this is the Judges pattern beginning to form. It's visible in the land distribution before the book of Judges even opens. So this is going to be interesting. Like I said, we're laying the foundation for what's going to be happening in the next few books. Let's go ahead and finish chapter 17. So let's see how we finish out chapter 17. It says, Joseph's additional inheritance. Joseph's descendants said to Joshua, "Why did you give us only one tribal allotment as an inheritance? We have many people, because the Lord has been blessing us greatly." "If you have so many people," Joshua replied to them, "go to the forest and clear an area for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and the Rephaim, because Ephraim's hill country is too small for you." But the descendants of Joseph said, "The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who inhabit the valley area have iron chariots, both Beth Shean with its surrounding villages, and in the Jezreel Valley. So Joshua replied to Joseph's family, that is, Ephraim and Manasseh, "You have many people and great strength. You will not have just one allotment, because the hill country will be yours also. It is a forest. Clear it, and its outlying areas will be yours. You can also drive out the Canaanites, even though they have iron chariots and are strong." So, a great way, honestly, if you asked me, to kind of finish out the chapter. So, the house of Joseph, which is both Ephraim and Manasseh together, come to Joshua, with a complaint. "Why did you give us only one tribal allotment as an inheritance? We have many people because the Lord has been blessing us greatly." The irony here is audible. They are using the fact that God blessed them as an argument that God hasn't given them enough. They're the most populous tribe combination in Israel. They received the central hill country. That's this part right here. And, some of the most fertile and strategically important land in Canaan. And yet, they want more. I love Joshua's response, though, because it's one of the most poignant exchanges, I feel like, in Joshua so far. He says, "If you have so many people, go to the forest and clear an area for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and the Rephaim, because Ephraim's hill country is too small for you." The translation is, you have the people, use them, the work is right there, go do it. And of course, we're humans. You want to, they push back a little bit. And they say the hill country is not enough for us. And all the Canaanites who inhabit the valley area have iron chariots. Those dang iron chariots again. And it's the same obstacle God told Joshua to ignore back a few chapters ago in chapter 11. Remember where he hamstrung horses and burned the chariots of northern Canaan's greatest coalition? Remember that? The iron chariot problem has been solved already, guys. Joseph's descendants are just using it as an excuse to not do the work. So Joshua's final reply is very blunt, in my opinion. He says, "You have many great people and great strength. You will not have one allotment because the hill country will be yours also. It is a forest. Clear it and its outlying areas will be yours. You can also drive out the Canaanites, even though they have the iron chariots and are strong." So notice what Joshua does not do. He doesn't just give them more land by taking it from someone else. No. He does not reassign borders. What he does is he tells them to do the work that's already within their territory. You already have it. It's literally already yours. You just got to do a little bit of work. And that's the thing, guys. The inheritance that the cards that we have been dealt, they are sufficient. They are more than enough, in my opinion. The obstacles are real. But the people have what it takes. We have what it takes. The question is whether you are willing to do the work. So, God gives you everything that you need. He's going 90 so that you can go 10. Are you going to be able to go that 10%? He gave you the 90. He gave you everything that you needed and more. Can you just meet him 10%? That's what he's asking for. So that right there is chapter 17. Chapter 17 is a good one. Let's go ahead and jump into chapter 18 before we pause for a quick commercial break. All right, chapter 18. This is the land distribution at Shiloh. So now we're going to get into all of the other we're going to get into all the other tribes now. So we're first, I think Benjamin is up first. Yeah, but let's see what we're going to get into here. The entire Israelite community assembled at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The land had been subdued before them. So, pause. They're having a meeting. The assembly moves to Shiloh, and in fact, is it on this? Let me see. I don't think it is. It'd be interesting if it was on this map. Maybe it's on this one. Let me see if it's on this other one. Nope, it's not there either. Well, fine. Shiloh. Let's see. Okay, so this is a central location. And I really want to know where is Shiloh. So let me pull it up for you guys. Shiloh. Let's see, where is it on a map? Oh, okay. So open image in new tab, and let's pull this in. Beautiful. I do like this one. So here is this. Shiloh is right here in the middle, right in the middle of Ephraim. So that is a central location. Yeah. So they set up the tent of meeting there, and the establishment of Shiloh as a distribution site is not incidental. It's the beginning of a long instructional history. So the statement summary is interesting. The land had been subdued before them. This is the same phrase as 11 from chapter 11:23 back here in Joshua. The military work is done. What remains is administrative and personal. So the land is available. The tribes just need to go and get it. So let's see what happens now. Chapter 18, verse 2. The land had been subdued before them, but 7 tribes among the Israelites were left who had not divided up their inheritance. So Joshua asked the Israelites, "How long will you delay going out to take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, gave you?" So, 7 tribes still have not accepted their inheritance. And Joshua, he calls them out. He says, how long will you guys delay? This is one of the most direct rebukes that I've seen so far in this book. And it's directed at Israel. It's not directed at Canaan, because why would it be? They don't get any land. This is the land is given, the enemies are subdued, the process is established. 7 tribes are just sitting there, I guess. The delay here is not necessarily ignorance. They've watched Judah, Caleb, Ephraim, and Manasseh receive their portions, and the process is visible and it's working. The delay here is almost like inertia in a way. There is something deeply pastoral about this moment. Joshua doesn't just take the land away from them. He doesn't redistribute it to the ones that have already taken up their stuff. He confronts the delay and provides a path forward for them. So the question is, how long will you delay? And that's one of the travels, one that travels through the scripture, even to today. From Moses to the prophets to Jesus, it's always asking the same thing. What are you waiting for? Your gift is already here. All you have to do is just go and take it. So again, going back to what we were talking about just a few chapters ago, or not a few verses ago, with, God setting you up to go and actually do some work. He went 90 so that you can go 10. And now, same thing. He went 90. He has a gift for you. You just got to go that 10% and go and get it from him. So that is, I do appreciate that. Trumpet, interesting. She said that from top to bottom of that map is about 60 miles. So it really isn't that long. Like 60 miles, you can, that's a short drive. Interesting. Thank you, Trumpet, for letting us know. All right, back to chapter 18. We're on chapter 18, verse 4 now. It says, appoint for yourselves 3 men from each tribe, and I will send them out. They are to go and survey the land, write a description of it for the purpose of their inheritance, and return to me. Then they are to divide it into 7 portions. Judah is to remain in its territory in the south, and Joseph's family in their territory in the north. When you have written a description of the 7 portions of land and brought it to me, I will cast lots for you here in the presence of the Lord our God. But the Levites among you do not get a portion, because their inheritance is the priesthood of the Lord. Gad, Reuben, and half the tribe of Manasseh has taken their inheritance beyond the Jordan to the east, which Moses, the Lord's servant, gave them. As the men prepared to go, Joshua commanded them to write down a description of the land, saying, go and survey the land, write a description of it, and return to me. I will then cast lots for you here in Shiloh in the presence of the Lord. So the men left, went through the land, and described it by towns in a document of 7 sections. They returned to Joshua at the camp in Shiloh. Joshua cast lots for them at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, where he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their divisions. So, Joshua's solution, I feel, is practical and structured. He says, appoint 3 men from each of the 7 tribes, so 21 men total. They are then to go survey the remaining land and divide it into 7 portions. They are to write the description in a document. They're going to bring it to Joshua, and then Joshua is then going to cast the lots before the Lord. So, the survey itself, though, the men are to travel through the land, document it town by town, write it in a book of 7 sections, and this is remarkably systematic, especially, because it's essentially a geographic census of the unclaimed land. And the phrase in a book, or Sefer, S-E-F-E-R, is significant because Joshua is building a written record of the distribution. This isn't just like administrative tidiness. It really is a legal document establishing tribal rights for generations to come. So interesting. And then verse 10, Joshua cast lots from them at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, where he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their divisions. The lot casting is done before God at the tent of meeting in Shiloh. Every allocation is submitted to divine decision. So no tribe can complain that the process was rigged, and no tribe can boast that they negotiated a better deal. So it is interesting. Yeah, Tracy, she says casting lots is such a random way to settle things. It could be, but in this, from the way that they're describing it here, I almost feel like it is really systematic and really intentional in the way that they're doing things. Right? Like, everybody is, like, I guess they're working on their honesty, because there's 21 people there, so hopefully they're going to hold each other accountable. And, the 3 from one team, 3 from the other, 3 from the other. My guess is that, because there's 3 people there, they kind of have to hold each other and keep each other honest. So, I don't know. It seems kind of odd, but, the fact that they're putting it before God is a divine decision. It's not favoritism or anything like that. So I think it's all right. All right, let's keep going. We are going to get into Benjamin's inheritance now. So let's go back to this other screen so that you guys can see the full picture of where people are. So we're going to be looking at this little purple section down here. This is Benjamin. That is what we're going to be looking into now. All right. Verse 20. No, verse 11. Excuse me. Verse 11. The lot came up for the tribe of Benjamin's descendants by their clans, and their allotted territory lay between Judah's descendants and Joseph's descendants. Their border on the north side began at the Jordan, ascended to the slope of Jericho on the north, through the hill country westward, and ended at the wilderness around Beth Aven. From there, the border went through Luz to the southern slope of Luz, that is Bethel. It then went down by Ataroth Adar, over the hill south of Lower Beth Horon. On the west side, from the hill facing Beth Horon, on the south, the border curved, turning southward and ended at Kiriath Baal, that is, Kiriath Jearim, a city of the descendants of Judah. This was the west side of their border. The south side began at the edge of Kiriath Jearim, and the border extended westward. It went to the spring at the waters of Nephtoah. The border descended to the foot of the hill that faces Ben Hinnom Valley, at the northern end of Rephaim Valley. It ran down Hinnom Valley toward the south Jebusite slope and downward to En Rogel. It curved northward and went to En Shemesh and on to Gilileth, which is opposite the ascent of Adumim, and Adumim, I don't know, and continued down to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. Then it went north to the slope opposite of Arabah and proceeded into the plains. The border continued to the north slope of Beth Hogla and ended at the northern bay of the Dead Sea at the southern end of the Jordan. This was the southern border. The Jordan formed the border on the east side. This was the inheritance of Benjamin's descendants by their clans according to its surrounding borders. So that's what we've got. That is our entire region of Benjamin. It tells us that's exactly what it looks like here. I'm going to just zoom in so that you guys can see. So we got Benjamin. Benjamin is small, but yes, see, Trumpet, you were spot on. Benjamin is small, but it has both Jerusalem and Jericho, 100%. So it's interesting because, Jerusalem does sit in Benjamin. The city listed as Jebus, Jebus, that is Jerusalem, falls in Benjamin's territory because this is significant. David, who was from Judah, down here, captures a city technically in Benjamin's allotment and makes it his capital, positioning it as a unifying neutral ground between the two most powerful tribal groups. So interesting, and of course we'll get into the story of David and all of that here in a few weeks. Just again, looking ahead to what we're going to next. But again, setting the tone for what's to come. Let's go ahead and now dig deeper into Benjamin's city, and then this is actually where we will pause for a quick commercial break, and then we will get back into the rest of the breakdown allotments. Benjamin's cities, verse 21. These were the cities of the tribe of Benjamin's descendants by their clans: Jericho, Beth Hogla, Emek Keziz, Beth Arabah, Zamaraim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Shephar Amani, Ophni, and Geba, 12 cities with their settlements: Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpah, Chephirah, Moza, Rechem, Erpeel, Terala, Zelah, Aleph, Jebus, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah, and Kiriath, 14 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance for Benjamin's descendants by their clans. So now we're breaking them down. We had, first we broke down the actual territory. Now we're breaking down the specific cities, and we're breaking them down into two groups. We've got the eastern cities, which are the 12 cities, including Jericho. And then we have the northern/western cities, which are 14 cities. And some of these cities are going to carry enormous future weight. Obviously, we've got Jerusalem. We know Jerusalem's big. We've got Gibeah, Mizpah, Ramah, and Gibeon. Those are all going to be huge contributing cities over the next few chapters, or not chapters, but books. So pay attention to those. And like I said, that is chapter 18. So let's go ahead and pause really quickly for, like I said, a quick commercial break. And then we will be back in just a quick second.
Summer is an adventure and bugs are relentless. As an herbalist, I know you don't need harsh chemicals to protect your family. Here at Tamarack Garden, we've got you covered with natural sunscreen, mosquito and tick repellent that's even safe for your pets, a salve to draw out bug bites, and soothing sunburn cream, all made with the power of plants. Because we think summer memories should last longer than the bug bites. Tamarack Garden. Protect your family naturally and eat your weeds.
Thank you, Tamarack Garden. We love you guys. And I especially have been loving them. On Friday, I was sitting outside for a few hours and was spraying myself repeatedly with the bug spray, but I ended up sweating it all off and forgot to reapply. And all of the mosquitoes were just eating me up. So I have mosquito bites all over my legs, my arms. At the beginning of the show, you guys heard that I had one like on the back of my neck. Yeah. But the thing is that not only does she make the greatest bug spray in the entire world, but she makes the best sunscreen. And the sunscreen not only doubles as sunscreen, but did you know that zinc oxide, which is the active ingredient in sunscreen, like natural sunscreens, that is also the active ingredient in calamine lotion. I blew Michelle's mind. She didn't even know that. So I have been, whenever I get a bug bite, I don't have the Bite Me salve, but I do have the Sunny Days salve. And I've been putting this on whatever bug bite I have. And almost instantly, the bug bite is not itchy anymore. And it's great. So make sure to stock up on Tamarack Garden stuff. Also, she just released a new product this week that I'm really excited to get. But it is a bug repellent incense. So it's like an actual blend of herbs that she put together, that she actually you burn it just like you would, like if you were to smoke something, and that the fumes, the smoke that comes off of that, it actually it repels the bugs. So I'm really excited to get that. And of course, you never really can go wrong with any of the Tamarack Garden products because they're all really fantastic. So thank you, Tamarack Garden, for being a sponsor of today's show. You guys can absolutely scoop up their products, and I do have links now with Tamarack Garden, so I can start sharing links. If you guys have specific products that you guys want to buy or anything like that, I can shoot you over a link now. So that's fun. They have a new service going on there with people shopping with links and using the coupon codes. So if you guys want links for that, feel free to let me know. But let's jump back into the Bible. We are going to be finishing out today with chapters 19 and 20. Now in 19 and 20, we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to see 6 tribes. Is it 6? Yeah. 6 tribes receive their allotments in rapid succession. They're just going to come one after the other. And then the chapter ends with the entire nation giving Joshua his personal inheritance. So let's jump into it. This is going to be really good. I mean, it's awesome, right? You guys are enjoying this so far, hopefully. If you guys are, give me a, I don't know, something in the chat just to let me know that you're still enjoying yourselves. I guess you'll figure it out. But anyways, let's get back into this. Chapter 19. First up is Simeon's inheritance. And in fact, let me go back to our map so that we can look to see where Simeon's inheritance is. There it is. So Simeon is way down here. Way down here. The second lot came out for Simeon, for the tribe of his descendants by their clans, but their inheritance was within the inheritance given to Judah's descendants. Their inheritance included Beersheba or Sheba, Maladah, Hazar Shual, Bela, Ezim, Eltolad, Bethuel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markabath, Hazar Susa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sheruhen. Sure. 13 cities with their settlements. Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 cities with their settlements, and all the settlements surrounding these cities as far as Baalath Beer, Ramah in the south. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Simeon's descendants by their clans. The inheritance of Simeon's descendants was within the territory of Judah's descendants, because the share of Judah's descendants was too large. So Simeon's descendants received an inheritance within Judah's portion. So, interesting. The second lot that we see falls to Simeon. And the text immediately explains something surprising. It says that their inheritance was within the inheritance of Judah's descendants. Simeon gets no distinct territorial block, right? Their cities, Beersheba, Ziklag, Hormah, and others, are embedded within Judah's territory. And why is that, you may ask? Well, verse 9, it says, because the share of Judah's descendants was too large, so Simeon's descendants received an inheritance within Judah's portion. And this fulfills, quietly, without any fanfare or anything like that, Jacob's dying words in Genesis 49:7 about Simeon and Levi. And it says that I will scatter them throughout Jacob and disperse them throughout Israel. So Jacob spoke this as a consequence of the massacre at Shechem. Remember that? Simeon would be scattered, and here in the land distribution, that word comes true. Simeon has no consolidated territory of their own, and they technically live within Judah. Simeon eventually disappears as a distinct tribal identity. It's ultimately absorbed into Judah, and it's exactly as Jacob foresaw. Amber in the chat said that zigzag is important later as well. Yes. Ziklag appears again in 1 Samuel when David, fleeing from Saul, lives among the Philistines and is given Ziklag as his base. It's a city in Simeon's scattered territory being used by the future king of Judah while he's in exile. So that is going to be big. We'll get to there in 3 more books. So we've got a little bit to go, but important to note for sure that, again, every single chapter that we're kind of going through, we're seeing the foundation being built brick by brick for what's to come in the next few chapters. The third lot we are going to see being given away is Zebulun's lot. So let's see what they get. And Zebulun, for those that are confused, is up here in purple. That's where Zebulun is. So let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Let's see if I can do that. Ooh. There we go. Zebulun. The third lot came up for Zebulun's descendants by their clans. The territory of their inheritance stretched as far as Sarid. Their border went up westward to Marala, reached Dabisheth, okay, and met the brook east of Jokneam. From Sarid, it turned due east along the border of Chisloth Tabor, went to Dabarath, and went up to Japhia. From there, it went due east to Gath Hepher and to Eth Kazin. It extended to Rimmon, curving around to Nia. The border then circled around Nia on the north to Hanathon and ended at Iftath El Valley, along with Katath, Nahalal, Shimron, Adilah, and Bethlehem, 12 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance of Zebulun's descendants by their clans. These cities with their settlements. So, third lot goes to Zebulun. Their territory sits in the lower Galilee region. So, like I said, right over here. It is bounded by Sarid, running east through Jokneam and east toward Tabor. All of that. We have an important city in there. This is not the same Bethlehem of Judah where Jesus is born. This is a different northern Bethlehem. So, important to note that. All right, so verse 15. Verse 15 includes a town called Bethlehem, or Zebulun's Bethlehem. But the more important connection is geographical. The territory of Zebulun and its neighbor Naphtali is the region of Isaiah 9, 1 and 2, calling out specifically. So he will honor the way of the sea, the land beyond the Jordan, and Galilee of the nations. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. So Matthew 4, 13 through 16 quotes this Isaiah prophecy as fulfilled when Jesus moves to Capernaum in Galilee and begins his ministry. So the land distribution is laying out the geography of the Galilean ministry. So super important to note that. Zebulun. That is what we've got there. Next up is Issachar. Let's see what Issachar gets. And Issachar is, again, down here. The fourth lot came out to the tribe of Issachar's descendants by their clans. Their territory went to Jezreel and included Cheseloth, Shunem, Hapharaim, Shion, Anahareth, or Anatharath, Rabbith, Kishion, Ebez, Remith, and Gainim, and Hada, and Beth Pizzaz. The border reached Tabor, Shehazimah, and Beth Shemesh, and ended at the Jordan. 16 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Issachar's descendants by their clans, the cities with their settlements. So they've got this land right down here, and this is again packed with prophetic and eschatological significance. So we'll touch on this when we get into the Kings a little bit more specifically, Judges, all of that. But again, setting the foundation for what's to come. Next up, fifth in the lot is Asher. Right up here in like this brownish beige color. The fifth lot came out for the tribe of Asher's descendants by their clans. Their boundary included Helkath, Halai, Beten, Akshaph, and Alamelech, Amod, and Mishal, and reached westward to Carmel and Shihor-Libnath. It turned eastward to Beth Dagon, reached Zebulun and Iftath El Valley, north toward Beth Emek and Nael, and went north to Kabul, Ebron, Rehob, Haman, and Cana, as far as Greater Sidon. The boundary then turned to Ramah as far as the fortified city of Tyre. It turned back to Hosah and ended at the Mediterranean Sea, including Mahalib, Akzib, Umma, Aphek, and Rehob, 22 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Asher's descendants by their clans, their cities with their settlements. So, yes, Asher's land. Asher gets the fifth allotment, and this territory borders Phoenicia, which is the great seafaring trading culture of the ancient world. The cities of Tyre, which of course is up here, and Sidon, just beyond Asher's territory border, are the source of the cedar used in Solomon's temple in 1 Kings. So we will see that, and Trumpet said in the chat, Tyre is in Lebanon now. So that is good to kind of give us that framework on where that is geographically. So Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel is the boundary between Asher and Manasseh, so right here. And this is where Elijah confronts the prophets of Baal in 1 Kings. So again, setting the boundaries is important for future struggles, if you will. Next up, number 6 to get their lot is Naphtali. Naphtali is going to go next. Verse 32. The 6th lot came out to Naphtali's descendants by their clans. Their boundary went from Heleph and from the oak and Zaanaim, including Adamai Nekeb and Jabneel, as far as Lakum, and ended at the Jordan. To the west, the boundary turned to Aznoth Tabor and went from there to Hukkok, reaching Zebulun to the south, Asher on the west, and Judah at the Jordan on the east. The fortified cities were Zidim, Zur, Hamath, Rakath, Chinnereth, Adama, Ramah, Hazor, Kadesh, Edrei, and Hazor, Iron, who knows? Magdal El, Horem, Beth Anath, and Beth Shemesh, 19 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Naphtali's descendants by their clans, the city with their settlements. So they get all of their land, and of course, Chinnereth is the Sea of Galilee. So that's this right here. They do get that, and that is, of course, important. Jesus walks here. He calls the disciples there. It's great. Trumpet again with some really great information. She says that the cedar is the tree on the map of Lebanon. The flag of Lebanon. That makes sense. Let's see if we can. Let's pull it in. See? Yep, there it is. That is a cedar tree. Just like Trumpet said. All right. Last up to get their inheritance is Dan and the 7th lot. And this is interesting because they did something specific with it. So let's see what they did. Verse 40. The 7th lot came out for the tribe of Dan's descendants by their clans. The territory of their inheritance included Zorah, which is Samson's territory, Eshtaol, Shemesh, Shealaban, Aijalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Elteki, Gibbethon, Baalath, Jehud, Benaberek, Gathrimmon, Mijarkin, and Racon, with the territory facing Joppa. When the territory of the descendants of Dan slipped out of their control, they went up and fought against Lashem, captured it, and struck it down with the sword. So they took possession of it, lived there, and renamed Lashem after their ancestor Dan. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Dan's descendants by their clans, these cities with their settlements. So Dan, of course, is way up here, but they are allotted the sites between Ephraim to the north, and so basically the territory facing Joppa, which is modern Tel Aviv's ancient predecessor. So interesting to note here, that's what they get. Again, important cities to note, Zorah and Eshtaol. We'll see those again because those are in Samson's story. But verse 47 here, interesting. It says, when the territory of the descendants of Dan slipped out of their control, they went up and fought against Lashem, captured it, and struck it down with their swords. So they took possession of it, lived there, and renamed Lashem after their ancestor Dan. Dan's allotted territory is on the Philistine border, and it proved impossible for them to hold. The Philistines pushed them out, and Dan migrated north, and captured a different city entirely, which is Lashem, and settled there. Judges 18 will tell us more of the story in full, but we'll stop there because I don't want to give it away, because it is an interesting story. So just know that Dan doesn't necessarily get to stay in their land, but we'll see more of it in Judges 18. All right, rounding out chapter 19 is Joshua's inheritance. So here we go with the last little bit of the inheriting of it all. And I don't think Joshua's inheritance is on here, but I'm just going to leave the map up for now so that we can kind of point out where it might be. When they had finished distributing the land into its territories, the Israelites gave Joshua, son of Nun, an inheritance among them. By the Lord's command, they gave him the city Timnath-Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, which he requested. He rebuilt the city and lived in it. These were the proportions that the priest Eleazar, Joshua son of Nun, and the family heads distributed to the Israelite tribes by lot at Shiloh in the Lord's presence at the entrance to the tent of meeting. So they finished dividing up the land. So distribution is complete. And then the entire nation gives Joshua his inheritance after everyone received theirs. You know, he went last, and he asked for the city of Timnath-Serah, which is a small, unremarkable city in the hill country of this tribe, and Joshua is ultimately buried there later on in Joshua. So there's no indication that there was a strategic choice, no indication this was a strategic choice or a prestigious location. It was simply where he wanted to live. So we can't knock the guy for having a clear idea of where he wanted to live. So he asked for the last pick. He rebuilt it himself. He lived there. And comparing it to Caleb, who we saw last time, Caleb asked for Hebron, which was the hardest territory. That's where the giants lived. Joshua asked for Timnath-Serah, a small city that he had to rebuild himself. So both are pictures of leadership that serves rather than extracts, and neither man uses his position to secure the best for himself. Caleb took the hard thing, and Joshua took the small thing. And of course, the closing summary, the distribution is complete. It is declared finish in God's presence in Shiloh, and that's the land being distributed. Chapter 20, though. Chapter 20, we are going to be getting into the last. It's short. It's 9 verses, and this is probably one of the most sophisticated legal and theological institutions in the ancient world, which is the city of refuge. So we'll see what they talk about here with the city of refuge, and let's see how it works. Then the Lord spoke to Joshua, "Tell the Israelites, select your cities of refuge, as I instructed you through Moses, so that a person who kills someone unintentionally or accidentally may flee there. These will be your refuge from the avenger of blood." So we talked about these at length in Numbers, in Deuteronomy, and we know that the actual we're supposed to have these cities. Now that everything has been distributed, the time for the West Jordan cities has come. So we are going to, we know that the city of refuge is a place where people who unintentionally or accidentally murder somebody can flee there. This is it's a city of refuge, just like the institution designed to protect the accidentally guilty. So let's see how this system is going to work. Verse 4. When someone flees to one of these cities, stands at the entrance of the city gate, and states his case before the elders of that city, they are to bring him into the city and give him a place to live among them. And if the avenger of blood pursues him, they must not hand the one who committed manslaughter over to him, for he killed his neighbor accidentally and did not hate him beforehand. He is to stay in that city until he stands trial before before the assembly, and until the death of the high priest serving at that time. Then the one who committed manslaughter may return home to his own city from which he fled. So there you go. There you go. We have that. That's how the system works. It's very detailed. The person flees to the city. They are to stand at the gate. They are to state their case. The elders are then going to bring them into the city, give them a place to live. If the avenger pursues, the city must not hand them over, keep that person safe. And then, they stay in the city until they stand trial. The person stays in the city until the death of the high priest. And then after the high priest's death, they can go home. So it's interesting that the accused person doesn't just hide indefinitely. They also go to trial. If found guilty of intentional murder, they are not protected by the city of refuge. Numbers 35:16 through 21 makes clear that the avenger of blood may execute a convicted murderer even in the city of refuge. So the city protects the innocent who accidentally killed someone. It does not protect actual murderers. So interesting also that they include the note about the death of the high priest. This is one of the most, it's discussed elements everywhere. But why does the high priest's death release the person in the city of refuge? That seems weird, in my opinion. I still think it's weird. But the most common answer that I've seen is that the high priest represented the community before God. His death functioned basically as an atoning event. A kind of communal reset that kind of allowed past cases to be settled and people released from the legal limbo of it all. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, that's what we've got there. All right, our last little bit of chapter 20. This is verse 7 now. It says, "So they designed Kadesh in the hill country of Naphtali in Galilee, Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah. Across the Jordan east of Jericho, they selected Bezer on the wilderness plateau from Reuben's tribe, Ramoth in Gilead from Gad's tribe, and Golan and Bashan from Manasseh's tribe. These are the cities appointed for all the Israelites and the alien residents among them, so that anyone who kills a person unintentionally may flee there and not die at the hand of the avenger of blood until he stands before the assembly." So we've got 6 cities designated. 3 cities in the west of the Jordan, which are Kadesh, Shechem, and Kiriath Arba, or Hebron. Then we have 3 cities east of the Jordan. We got Bezer, Ramoth, and Golan in Bashan. The 6 cities are positioned so that no one in Israel is more than a day's journey from a city of refuge. And I think that's pretty great. if I'm being honest. They make it easy, and it makes it, you know, accessible for everybody, if we're being honest. So that is what the system is designed for accessibility. Um, we will see connections with the six specific cities later on. These aren't just refuge cities, these are also cities where history of Israel keeps happening. So we'll keep those in mind. And of course, it is interesting that the chapter closes with the aliens being included. The cities of refuge were not just for the Israelites. The resident aliens were also included among them. And this is consistent with what we've seen throughout Joshua. The covenant community is wider than ethnic Israel itself. Rahab and her family are inside. The Gibeonites, they serve at the altar. And now resident aliens have the same legal protection as native Israelites in the most urgent legal scenario imaginable. So, the protection of the innocent is not a privilege of birth, it is built into the structure of the covenant. So that is where we are going to be ending. It's kind of crazy to also think that that's where we're ending today. But I won't see you guys on Thursday of this week, and I won't see you guys on Sunday of next week either, because we will be at GART. So, I will have, we'll wrap up Joshua on Thursday, July 2nd. We'll do that. That'll be our last little bit in Joshua, but we're almost done. It's kind of crazy to think of. I hope that you guys have been enjoying this series so far, and we'll continue on. Well, of course, we have plenty of Bibles still to go. We will not hold up much longer, so we'll keep on going. But I'm gonna pray, and then we'll read any rants or coffees or anything like that have come through, and then I'll let you guys go to get back to your Sunday and Father's Day. So Father God, thank you for another beautiful day. Lord, thank you for another opportunity to come together to read your word and to give you thanks. Lord, we also ask you to bless and protect each and every one of us who is here today live, or anybody who is watching this on replay. Bless them and protect them as we enter into this new week. Lord, I also ask you to go into each and every home and heart of every single person who is watching this, and fill whatever need they are going through, Lord, whether it be financial or mental or physical. Lord, you know what they're dealing with, and you know what the fix is. May you go in there right now and be the healer and the whatever it is that they need in their life, Lord. We also ask you to protect and bless our president and our nation. Continue to keep us safe from harm, and continue to guide our president and let him make all of the decisions that are from you. Lord, I also ask you to bless those that are going to be traveling this week, especially, me and Cam and all of our friends that we're going to be traveling up to Deadwood, South Dakota this week. Lord, make sure everybody gets there safe, that there may not be many travel delays or cancellations or anything like that everybody may have a safe and easy flight if they're flying or journey by car. Lord, I also ask you to let us have a good time. Let us rest and be renewed and refreshed as we come out of this great weekend that we're going to be going into this week. Lord, I love you, and I honor you, and I thank you, and I appreciate you, and I give you thanks, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Let's see what I did tell you guys about I read the Venmo that came in from Thursday. That one came in from what's her name? From Marguerite Carlin, and I actually just got from Trumpet. Thank you, Trumpet. She said, thanks for another great show. Thank you so much for that. You guys, incredibly generous. Appreciate you guys. Yesterday, spoiled me. absolutely spoiled me with all of your rants and coffees and donations and all of that. Truly, does not go unnoticed. I truly appreciate you guys, because I mean, this really is this is how I pay the bills. So thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully some of you guys this week, and I'm looking forward to celebrating my birthday with some of you guys. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. I will see you guys this week. Stay tuned tonight. Bay Theater Dave and I will be live tonight. Cam and I only have three. Well, I have three live shows left before we leave. So tonight is Good Book Sessions. We will be live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern here on my channel. And then tomorrow we're doing Battle of the Sexes on Badlands with Brian and Christy and Ash and whoever else is going to be joining us. So that'll be fun. 3 p.m. East or 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on Badlands. And then on Tuesday, Cam and I every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on our channels have been doing light work. It's been a fun show, really is. Just a way for us to kind of get away from all of the noise and have a good time. Have a good time just laughing and spreading positivity. So come and join us on Tuesdays at 7 if you guys haven't already. And if not, then I will see you guys when we come back from GART. But love you guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for all the birthday wishes. And I will be seeing you guys real soon. Goodbye.